And we're live.
Trauma? Let's talk about it. I know that since a young age, I've been experiencing life events that haven't gone that smoothly. And the way I've coped with it, especially, I made it doubly not as smooth. Um,
Mm.
I'm talking hard things happen. I made life decisions, making my life even harder. But as I grow into an adult, I have found ways to cope with my trauma and have found ways to even heal from it naturally, holistically, without Xanax, without any of that. Um I am pro plant medicine. I do have to say that. And yeah, I'm here with Bridget with 5D Health. I just kind of took over for a second there. My bad, my bad, my bad. Here she is. We're both kind of traumatized.
Yeah. Yeah. News to anyone listening. I come from a life of trauma. So, just like Alex, I mean, I went through my whole life creating traumatic events in my past, having no conscious awareness that that's what I was doing. Also, having no awareness that like I was living through trauma, and also after getting through all of it, really having little awareness that what I'm dealing with in my present day is actually trauma from the past. So I've learned a lot diving deep into myself and trying to learn more about myself. Kitty Cloves.
Yo, I
uh,
have a bold question for you.
yeah.
I have a bold question. What is your first traumatic experience
So,
that you remember?
okay. Sure, I could share that.
Sure.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
one that really that you don't have to
yeah.
share the first, whatever one you want to share. What's one that you think would be helpful for other people to hear about?
Oh, when you
Maybe.
phrase it like that.
Or maybe just the first one that made you realize like life is
Not what it
not all
was, not what it
peaches
is.
and
Yeah.
creams. Yeah.
Okay. So, one, I would say that elevated my consciousness and broke open my awareness to a new set of eyes because that's what trauma does. It changes something in the brain where you see things differently from that point on. And um, I was 14 years old, and as we are as children, innocent and pure, and we see through the light and we see things being good and right, and there's right and wrong, and there's no, it's all black and white as a child, and you just think things are a certain way. Well, I was 14, and this is not my first traumatic experience, but it's the first one that I thought of when you asked me. So I went to a party. Really wasn't a party. I was supposed to be sleeping over at my best friend's house with another girlfriend of mine. I told my mom, "Hey, we're gonna have a sleepover at so and so's house for the night," and she's like, "Yeah, sure, that's normal. I'm 14, ninth grade. Okay." So I go over to my friend's house, and we actually end up going over to a boy's house. So there was five of us there total. And like at this point in my life, I've been drinking and smoking weed, yes, at 14 years old, not habitually, but we was introduced into my life by then. So we go over there, and one of the guys has like a bag of pills, and he was like, these are like ecstasy, but they won't kill you. And I'm like, what's ecstasy? Like, I'm 14. Like, what do you mean? They're like, you
But
just
they
have a
won't kill you.
yeah, that's what he said, which
Good
is
to
really sad.
know. Good to know.
Well, yeah, he said that, and I'll never forget it, which is like so sad that he said that. But that's what he said. And so, like, convinces, he doesn't convince us. I'm not going to say that. We all decide to take these pills and drink some alcohol. And the next day, the other guy who was there, his name is Tyler Bailey. He was like the star freshman football player of the other high school. Um, he was like really good at football. Everyone knew him. He was a good kid. And he didn't wake up the next morning. He overdosed that night and died. And we had no idea what an overdose was. We had no idea what we took. We had no idea like what the fuck just happened. And So yeah, I woke up the next morning
That's wild. It's
and
sad.
I was 14. I
Yeah.
was 14 years old and this just happened. And I can't even freaking, still to this day, like fathom. I still carried a lot of guilt and a lot of shame up until recently through trauma therapy, through like a holistic way of healing trauma. Like I was able to let go of like that guilt and shame that I held. Also, the responsibility that I held for so long about that situation because I felt responsible. I felt I could have stopped it. I felt there was something I could have done. If I had just done this differently, this wouldn't have happened. There was just so
The
much.
what
And
if game.
yeah, the
That's
what
not
if,
good for trauma.
right. And
But
that,
that's one of the first things that comes up too.
right,
What if I
is
did this? What if I did that?
right. Yeah. So from that point on, I saw the world completely differently. It changed my entire life. The three people that were with me in that that experience, one of them tried to kill themselves, and they went to like an insane asylum at 14. Dropped out of high school. The other one dropped out of high school, could not go back to that high school. And the other one was actually like fighting for his freedom for like years based on this because they were trying to, you know, put him in jail for like giving us the pills, even though it was not his fault either. He didn't put the pills in anyone's mouth. But so, like, it changed our lives like dramatically. I went through like my first stage of depression, you know, not knowing what depression was at the time, but I was going through it. You know, I was obviously grounded, couldn't see my friends, couldn't talk to my friends, couldn't do anything. All I was allowed to do was go to school and go to soccer and go home. But like on top of not being allowed to do anything, I didn't want to do anything. I
Right.
was like,
Put you down
so
on your ass.
for a whole year, the whole freshman year that happened. Okay, in Texas we start school in September, or sorry, in late August. Yeah, late August. And then this happened September 26th. So it was my first month, my first year of high school. So the rest of freshman year of high school was a complete and utter daze and confused, and depressed and sad and just like full of shame, full of guilt, felt responsible. But yeah, and it took me what? I'm 33 years old. It took me a good amount of time to finally heal from that and like let that go and realize there was nothing that I could have done to stop anything that was going to happen, and that it wasn't my fault, and there was nothing that I can do about it now that gives me reason to hold on to any guilt
Right.
or shame, you know.
Right.
Um, Sad story, right?
Mhm.
Sorry if that's doom and gloom.
No, no, I guess I'm curious how you got through that. Was it just time? And if you were if that happened now,
Kitty
um
close. Oh.
if that happened now, what how do you think that or how do you handle trauma now compared to what happened back then?
Um,
Yo, and turn your phone on silent, bro. I can't with that. That
it
shit's
took
annoying.
it took the
Put it
you know
on do
this.
not disturb and make them freak out.
Okay, hold on. Silent mode. So it used to be on my home button where I could just push it and it
Oh,
would
I
just
know, down.
it.
Yeah,
I don't know what
yeah, yeah.
happened to it. Anyways,
No, you're
how
good.
do I handle trauma now?
Like you
So
said, well, because you said that put you on your ass for a year.
oh
So if
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
happened now, like, well, I mean, you might be on your ass for a year, but I like to think, I mean, I just think that you're strong, and I've seen you go through hard shit. So
Mhm,
I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes.
mhm.
So you
The
haven't been down on
difference,
your ass
right?
when bad
The
things happen.
Yeah, the difference between, you know, back then and now, or even like 5 years ago and now, um, I continue to take action no matter what. I continue to do the things I know that helped me. I continue to do the things I know that healed me. And I, regardless of how I'm feeling, I continue to move and try and move forward and try and take action. So, like, inside, I'm beat down, you know? And
Yeah,
I am some
you're
days. Like,
feeling it.
Yeah, yesterday I was a little beat down, but like despite all that, I still first of all I need to express myself how I'm feeling. At least have one safe person to express myself on like what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and once I can express myself, also just keep moving and don't allow whatever is going on internally and on the outsides to stop me from moving forward and taking action. I think that's the difference, because I can feel those feelings of being sad and depressed, and but the difference is I don't let it take me down
Mhm.
because I spent my whole life allowing um, things, traumatic events and trauma that I've been through, like hold me back from living my life and hold me back from doing what I need to do and hold me back from like experiencing life. And I just won't allow that anymore. I know that I have a little bit of control and there's a little bit that I can do, and I just try and focus on what I can do because I refuse to let anything that happens to me affect
Mhm.
like where I'm going, what I'm doing. I don't know. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I wish I had that mindset. I
You
it doesn't
do.
I have a lot of stuff that go on. Like I have to do work to
Hmm.
get to that point. Like
Hmm.
to the point where like the work I mean is like doing like a butterfly hug and like using these like I have like a mental eraser where like if I'm thinking about something that's like bothering me, like I erase it over and over all day, or like I spend like a long time having to do that in order to move forward. It's not like I'm not at the point where I'm mentally strong enough to be like I refuse to let this bother me. It's
Hmm.
like, this is bothering me and I need it to stop. So I have to do something. Does that
Hmm.
make sense? Like
No,
to
it
get
makes
me out
perfect
of it.
sense. Yeah, and
Yeah.
same with me. I feel like I just have a little bit more time practicing
Mhm.
um, these
Yeah,
things,
for
I
sure.
guess, because that's the same as me. Something's bothering me. I know it. I feel it, but I'm like, do take action in order to be like, I'm not. No,
Right.
nope,
No.
nope, no. Also, maybe the amount of trauma I have been through plays a big role in being able to push it aside for now and continue on to go.
Compartmentalize.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing about trauma.
It's a skill.
Um, it's also like it's fucking helped me so much. Like I feel
Mhm.
like it's a skill almost, like when you've been through so much trauma and so much crazy things that have happened in your life that have like split your brain in so many different ways, like it actually becomes, once you can like transform that and heal from that even just a little bit, even though I'm still living with the trauma, like I've been able to use it in a better way to elevate myself. Like it's almost like a skill, like a life skill, because things can't possibly be as bad as they were, when crazy shit was happening. Like, so I
Right.
don't know. I think there's been a lot in my life that I've been through that have taken me down and put me out. And like the practice of like getting back up over and over again is what has given me the resilience that I have now. And like I don't wish that on anyone. Like
Right,
I wish
right?
you I wish you so much trauma. But
I
it's
wish you no
really
trauma.
right, but it's really helped me be the person that I am today, and I wouldn't change any of it. I don't know if that's messed up to say, but
No, I think
I
that
wouldn't.
that no, I think that that one gives you character and two Cloves
Excuse
is she has
me.
no idea what's going on. That's hilarious. Um, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
Oh God, I love you. Okay, so let's talk about you. You want to talk about like, can you share a traumatic event that you've been through that changed your outlook for the rest of your life?
Okay, so the one that I thought of that I was gonna talk about was like way less deep than yours.
Okay.
Um, no, but it's just the first one. And I was thinking about it this morning, so I wanted to talk about it. But I have this scar right here,
Hmm.
and that happened when I was 2, and all I did was I tripped over my mom's shoe and I hit my head on one of these things.
What? Chair?
No.
Vent.
Vent.
Okay.
Vent.
The
I
vent.
never knew what that like it's a vent. Okay, so I hit my head on the vent and it sliced me.
Mm.
But the traumatic part, I don't remember the pain. What I remember is my dad having this cream colored washcloth, and then after he was done with my face, it was completely red. And me just feeling like, "Oh my god." Like that was the first.
Really?
Um
And you remember that?
yeah, and yeah, I was 2, which is crazy. I
Wow.
don't know if people remember stuff from when they're 2, but
Yeah, that's
ask my
nuts.
mom, that's when that happened. And it was a navy blue pump. It was, like, super, like, randomly detailed, but I think that that was my first dose of not not everything's perfect, you can't be safe from everything. Even though my
Mm.
dad tried to help me, I was still in pain, and when I think about it now, um, I it I because I've processed this in EMDR. So when I think about it now, I'm like, it's like my mom was yelling at my dad because I got hurt, even though it was her shoe, and my dad's just confused, but because it's his fault. And like, I don't even know if that's the reality of the situation. But when I think about me at 31 when I was 2, that's kind of how that was the reality at
Right.
the time. Which
Right.
brings
Well,
up family stuff
mhm.
too.
Well, they do say like what like memory is actually not even true, or it can be false. So it
Yes.
just depends on each one of us, each and every single person's own perspective and what they remember and their emotional reaction to the situation. That's what's true, for you, right, and for me. So whenever, so we don't even know. Like I, like I could, I want to write a book. That's what I do. Like you, I know you're writing a book. We
Yeah,
both want
yeah.
to write a book, and I
Yeah,
want
we
to
both wanna
tell my
write a book.
story.
That's
I
true.
want to
Yeah.
tell all of my stories, and then I get in my head and I'm like, but what if like none of it's even true, and it's all just like here in my memory bank of what I thought was true, and it doesn't matter because that is what was true for me. That is what I remember. That's what I experienced. And that's the cool part of life, is seeing that everyone is living through different experiences and different perspectives, and it's all perception.
Yup.
Everything, it's all individual perception. That's what reality is. Everyone's living from their own memory of their past experience, their perspective, and their perception on the world. And that's what's super fascinating and cool. And so, trauma, when you go through trauma therapy, my therapist is a holistic practitioner. So we use all kinds of different, practices, but one of them is EMDR, and another one is the
Nice.
IFS, internal
Yep, same
family
here.
systems. She
Same
does,
therapy situation, by the way.
yeah, it's
Like,
super sweet.
not the same therapist, but I just wanna say that me and Bridget are on the same path in that way.
Yeah,
We do the same type of therapy.
right.
That's all.
Hmm.
Keep going.
It was, I don't know exactly what I was going with that. Oh, I wanted to say it's so basically you just get with someone one on one and you tell your story, like exactly how you remember it, exactly what you experienced, and exactly how you felt and what it made you feel like and what it made you look at the world differently after. And it doesn't matter if any of it's not true. You don't have anybody in there disputing that, like that didn't
Right.
happen to her. That's not what happened, so it's like super cool because you just get to vulnerably express your story, your life story, based on traumatic events, and processing it. And one of the things that EMDR has shown me, even though I felt like I was doing it wrong and that I wasn't doing it right, but she gave me a mantra that was in Sanskrit language that meant I surrender. And so every time I would feel that weird feeling of like, this is odd, I would say that mantra, I surrender. And like little by little, over time throughout the session, by the end, I would come to my own perspective of how that traumatic event um, elevated me in some way, and how I needed that to happen in some way, and how what I learned from it and what I can take away from it, and how it helped me in the end. And that's what's so
Right.
cool about it, is because like, who would have thought, you get to see your, so it's like it changes your memory construct of your whole life. Like you see it in a completely different light when you go through trauma therapy, because you're starting to realize that you can look back on those memories and not get emotionally triggered, or like want to not think about it, or touch that subject. Now you get to see it as like, wow, that was really helpful, and thank God for it, which
Mhm.
is odd.
Right.
But that's what it's done for me.
Yeah, EMDR is amazing, amazing stuff. Scary stuff. It's not always fun to go back and relive it because it feels like it's happening again sometimes
Oh
in the
yeah.
present moment, even if the event, incident, or whatever happened years ago. Um, those memories still come up. And when I think about that, sometimes when I'm in therapy, like I'll be like, oh, like my stomach hurts, like that hurts my stomach. Like
Hmm.
the connection between your brain and your gut, like is so powerful, but so convoluted because I can train my brain to not be traumatized through processing with a therapist to the point where I'm not going to have these physical symptoms anymore. And I've
Mm.
done that with multiple incidents and traumas in my life that used to affect me, make me sick to my stomach. I can talk about it without feeling sick. I can talk about it without crying. I could talk about it as if I've learned something from it. And I couldn't do that before EMDR. And EMDR, they like do this and basically they emulate REM sleep while you're awake. When you're in REM sleep, that's your brain processing your day. If you're not getting good sleep, you're not processing. The only way to get through trauma is by processing. So if you're not a good processor, I'm a slow processor, if at all, on my like left on my own or until EMDR. But basically, um, they emulate the eye movements that you go through when you REM sleep, and you're able to process things while you're awake in a safe space with a therapist. So if you start spiraling, they can usually sense that and ground you while you're there. Doing EMDR when you're at home or by yourself or when you're not ready is really dangerous and can lead you down a really dark path of institutions and, trust me, dark holes.
Mm.
Um I've seen it happen to people. It hasn't happened to me, but that's because my therapist, I think, is good at calling it out. Like,
Mm.
even yesterday, we were going to do EMDR and I'm going to Florida tomorrow. And she was like, I don't want to ruin your trip. And I was like, honestly, I was thinking about that on the way here. Like, I just want to give it a week and focus on my creativity this week, not on trauma. But here we
Mm.
are talking about trauma, but in an empowering way.
Right. Right.
EMDR, you kind of go through the rough before it gets better.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad that I started to take care of some of that stuff, because there was a lot that I left dormant. Like I got
Mhm.
sober and I got better, and I like broke my addiction to some stuff, but I was still living with dormant trauma and I had no idea. But you know what got me really far without EMDR and without like talk therapy, was yoga. And I had no
Mm.
idea, because we carry our trauma in our bodies, like you said, like in our bodies and our brain. It's in our body no matter what, and our body will
It's in our
remember.
fascia.
Yes, in our fascia, and that is exactly what we're doing when we're doing yoga. Is we're breaking down that myofascia, and we're getting to, and we're what's the there's like a process where basically you, when you're activating your muscles in a certain way, you're releasing all those toxins and all those trauma. That's why yoga and exercise are like a awesome awesome tool to use for trauma stuck in the body. So I was doing all this unconsciously, you know what I mean, for a while, until I started to learn more about yoga and became a yoga teacher and everything. But I didn't know. I just was showing up to yoga classes and I was crying, and I'd be like, what the hell's happening to me? You know, but it's because I was carrying all of my baggage and all of my trauma from my past. And within the yoga classes, I was able to release some of it and get rid of some of it. That's why, like, you know, especially in women, our hips are so tight. I don't know if you ever tried to stretch your hips, but if you
Yeah, they
do,
don't.
when we're done with this, try and stretch your hips. Do like a hip stretch and see what you feel. And when you feel, you're just gonna feel this like talking sensation, like back out, get out, stop doing that. Like your hips will start talking to you. Like they don't like it.
Wait,
Like they
what's the
don't.
hip exercise? I don't know. Like, can you give an easy one or show us one?
Yeah. I mean, you can sit. So there's one called pigeon. It's hard to kind of explain, but you can bend your knee and place your foot under your hip and then bring your other leg out. It's hard. I would have to demonstrate.
Yeah, can you demonstrate?
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
demonstrate real
yeah,
quick.
that's what I mean, real quick.
But yeah, so basically, dude, anyone's hips, like
All
they
right, so this is
will
pigeon pose here.
they will talk to you no matter what. So you're gonna bring your knee out, one of them out.
Okay.
You can either bring your foot close to your hip or you can stretch it out a little more.
Wait, I'm
And
gonna
then
do
you're
it
gonna,
with you. I'm gonna
okay,
do
do
it
it
with
with me.
you.
Okay, do it with me. And you'll come down to your elbows.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't. I don't have room.
Basically, but what I'm saying, my point is when women get into this posture, their hips do not like it. And that's because as women, we carry most of our trauma in our hips. And that's just like known. And that's why we resist stretching them. And that's why we resist certain postures, because our body is like, it's a lot. So it's work, like essentially in your body. So when you're working on your body in yoga and in any kind of exercise or whatever, you are working with your lifetime of experiences of trauma and anything that you've ever been through. Like, it's so cool. It's really
That is
cool. It's
awesome.
fascinating. Yeah.
It is. Well, and I
Oh,
feel like
it's
most people don't know
201.
that.
It's 201.
Okay, Bridget's gotta go. I know that went by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna have part two on the trauma stuff because I feel like we have so much more to talk about on this topic. I know
Definitely.
Bridget touched on a really deep story. I want to get more into recent stuff. I don't know, maybe, or just what else we do to heal. More yoga poses, more therapy talk, whatever you guys want to hear about. Um,
Tips and tricks.
tips and tricks
Anything. Yeah.
tips and tricks to treating your trauma holistically.
Yes. And if, you know, if I can heal and get better and you can heal and get better, anyone
And
can do
heal and
these
get better.
things and get better
Literally, I was
and
talking to
feel better.
someone yesterday and Allison, and she was like, "Remember when you had cancer?" I was like, "Right, bro?" Yeah.
I know. I think about it all the time. I
Like,
literally think
yeah.
about that all the time, Alex.
I know. Like, what the
And
fuck
you're
was
just, and
that?
you're like,
What
wait,
was that? I don't know
yeah.
what was that, guys.
I don't know what was that. What was that? Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, we got to get into it more and more and more. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. So we're just going to keep showing up here. Kitty Clover apparently is going to keep showing up with us.
Yeah, and maybe baby
And
dipped
maybe
out, that bitch.
baby.
But
Yeah,
thank you so much for being here, Bridget. I love you.
I love you too.
I love the shit that we're doing. I
Me
love
too.
that, yeah, you're a safe person for me and for all of the internet. And I can't wait for people to get to know you.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Um,
right.
have a good
Next
day.
time.
Call me later. Oh yeah, we gotta wrap it up here. You wanna wrap it up?
Yeah, so come back for more. Like, subscribe, share with whoever you think could benefit from this. And we will be back. I don't know exactly when, but soon. So stay
I'm in
tuned for
Florida
that.
for a week. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Bridget, you'll be doing shows on your own and we'll be tuning in.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Sweet.
I'll do that. All right.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Later, guys. You got to end it, Bridge.
Oh, yeah. All right, let me end this.
Later.